Alright, what is going on guys, it's Tazz here and welcome back to the channel. Now today what I've got for you guys is my review for The Flash's Season 6 finale as well as my thoughts on the season as a whole. So spoiler warning for all 19 episodes this season, if you haven't finished the season yet, the whole thing is over on Netflix, so go watch it if you haven't and don't want any spoilers for this season, then come back to the video, don't worry I won't be going anywhere. But with that out of the way, let's just get into my thoughts on this season of The Flash. Season 6 was set up quite a bit differently than we have seen in the past for The Flash. With new showrunner Eric Wallace, he decided to approach the season in a slightly different way. We had two distinct halves of the season with two different big bads and separate agendas. While there was some overlap between the first and second half of the season, for the most part they were separate pieces though of the same puzzle, so to speak. The first part of the season was our lead up to Crisis, where we had Barry and Team Flash preparing for what they thought would be the Flash's demise, trying to save the multiverse, as well as dealing with an old friend of Caitlyn's in the form of Ramsey Rosso, aka Bloodwork. There were also a few different threads that were teased out in this first half as well that would be revisited later on, like the whole Godspeed mystery, as well as Iris's investigation into this shady organization which we later came to know as Black Hole, and even laid the groundwork for Ralph's storyline with Sue Dearborn. But even with all of those side stories, the main focus of this first half leading into Crisis was of course Bloodwork, and I think overall he was a fine villain for the first half of the season. He wasn't anything crazy until the last couple of episodes where we really got to see Sandhill Ramamurthy get to be super evil as the monstrous Bloodwork, but that was kind of short-lived as we had to quickly move into Crisis mode. I did like how Ramsey ended up playing a bit into the second half of the season as well, was honestly not expecting him to return so soon, but I have to say, thinking back, I really did enjoy Bloodwork more than I thought I would, and that little tease for a plan in the future for him towards the end of the season was a welcome addition as well. I have heard some theories, however, thrown around that we could see some sort of fusion between Thawne and Bloodwork, since the last time we did see our good old friend Reverse Flash, he kind of needed a new body. There was supposedly going to be a cool Reverse Flash cliffhanger at the end of the season before it was unfortunately cut down to only 19 episodes. But Thawne taking control of Bloodwork's body and becoming some sort of makeshift version of Red Death would have been really cool to see, and I think Sandhill, who plays Ramsey Rosso, would have done a great job portraying Thawne if that was going to be his new vessel. But unfortunately the season was in fact cut short, and whatever was planned for Thawne may be reworked some way at the beginning of next season. But now that we were talking about Thawne, let's move over to the second half of the season now and enter McCulloch Technologies, Black Hole, and our new Mirror Master in the form of Eva McCulloch. I think this second half was just ever so slightly better than the first half, even though I did think that Iris being in the Mirrorverse for like 2 months and nobody noticing was a little bit weird and it kind of bothered me. But other than that, I do think The Flash was able to stay pretty strong within this second half. But back onto the topic of Iris real quick, I did think it was really nice to see a story from a reporting and investigative angle that was actually really good for her this season, and I think we did see a lot of good progression on that front. Within Season 6B, we also had Barry having to deal with the repercussions of Crisis and the death of the Speed Force. I think that was probably my favorite episode this season, where Wally came back and Barry found out that the Speed Force was in fact dying and that he was losing his speed. Please more of the mystical Speed Force Wally in the future. Absolutely loved his return. Other storylines in the back half, we had more of the mirror clones. The Ralph and Sue stuff I thought was really good as well, and I think some of the other characters were just kind of there or randomly not. I'm not sure if you guys even noticed it or if it was as bothersome to you as it was to me, but I just felt like certain characters were absent sometimes because plot convenience. Another storyline that I thought started off kind of strong but then dragged out a little too long was the Nash, Wells, and Allegra storyline. I thought getting some more background on Nash and what happened to his version of Allegra was pretty interesting, and then him having all of the Wells in his head post-Crisis and Pariah was also very cool, but salty Allegra up until the finale was kind of annoying. But speaking of the finale, let's just talk all about episode 19 of The Flash Season 6, which ended up serving as this season's finale, as it was, like I've said like a bajillion times probably in this video, unfortunately cut short. Team Flash figured out that the Iris they had been around for the last few weeks was a fake and that Eva was out of the Mirrorverse and on the hunt for her husband, so Barry and the team decide to try to approach things from a slightly different angle since he is losing more and more speed by the day now, and a new Speed Force is still not happening at the moment. Within the Mirrorverse, Iris finds Camilla and they work together to try to find Singh and a way out of there, but their efforts are slowed as what Eva warned her about from all of her time within the mirror dimension is starting to come to a head. Fast forward to the big fight at McCulloch Technologies, where we have the whole team minus Cisco trying to protect Joseph Carver. For whatever reason, I guess Cisco just wasn't in this finale because he was still in Atlantis or something. Anyway, we actually have a really cool fight scene here with Team Flash fighting off Eva's minions and Barry trying to protect Carver from the wrath of Mirror Master. However, in the end, we do get a very awesome scene where Eva shoots mirror shards through Barry and into Carver as she pulls a Carol Baskin and kills her husband, in the process making an enemy out of Team Flash as well. So now with Carver out of the way, Eva reassumes position as the head of her tech company and frames Sue for Carver's murder. And unfortunately, that's pretty much it for where the season leaves us in the real world, and that is kind of just our cliffhanger there. Eva is in control now, and she kind of wins the season, with it being cut short to 19 episodes. Now, again, if this had been a normal season, there would have been 3 more episodes where Team Flash probably rallies, Barry gets his speed back, takes down Eva, and brings Iris home, and boom, Reverse Flash teaser for the beginning of season 7, but unfortunately, due to everything going on in the world, production shut down and they were forced to make episode 19 their finale, but I guess it was kind of a blessing in disguise as it gave them a different way to end off this season, with the villain in the form of Eva actually being victorious at the end. I'm guessing that the new Speed Force will be created pretty quickly at the beginning of season 7, most likely drawing from the opposite force that Thawne used, which he used hate, and Barry will be using love since he was the paragon of love, and Caitlin even said in that last scene that she had with Barry that speed is not what drives him, but it's love, and there's nothing artificial about that. So those are some kind of, tongue-in-cheek references to artificial Speed Force, love with Barry being the paragon of love. Pretty nice reference, and I really think that that's how the new Speed Force could be created if you ask me. But now onto the real cliffhanger that came within the mirror dimension, and that was with Iris potentially teleporting to wherever Captain Singh is within the Mirrorverse, and it seems like the longer Iris is in there, the more connected she is to that mirror dimension. Now, obviously we can't just brush over the fact that I just said that Iris teleported. I don't think this end scene means she is going to permanently have powers, but maybe Iris is the key to defeating Eva, as she could be on the same level as her with some practice with controlling whatever the Mirrorverse has done to her. Maybe it only affects her within the Mirrorverse and she only has this quote-unquote power in there. However they end up handling things with Iris having powers or not, I think her time in the Mirrorverse will leave a lasting impact on her and affect her quite a bit going forward. The beginning of season 7 should be interesting to say the least when it finally hits our screens at the beginning of 2021, but until then, all we can really do is wait for new info and speculate with what we've got. So overall, I think with the restrictions that came at the end of the season and some of the shortcomings throughout, shortened season aside, I think the Flash is getting back on the right track, and this was a pretty good season with it all said and done. And I mean, we did get the introduction of literally the best Flash suit that we've ever seen on the show, just missing those gold boots now. I, along with I'm sure a lot of you guys, would have loved to see how this season all wraps up, but unfortunately we will have to wait until next year, and I mean, you really can't just knock off points for the shortened season, as it was completely out of everyone's control. So I think all in all, this was a pretty good season for The Flash, even if it was only 19 episodes. So I am excited to see what happens next season, with Team Flash defeating Mirror Master, bringing everyone who's in the Mirrorverse back to the real world, the creation of a new Speed Force, whatever they have planned for Thawne, and rumor has it we might get to see a fan favorite character return as a Flash villain as well. Fingers crossed that we finally get to see Eddie return as Cobalt Blue. One can dream, am I right? But with that all said, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this season as a whole? What did you think of the finale? And what are your predictions for season 7 of The Flash? Let me know down in the comments below. But until next time, guys, it's been Tazz, and I will see you guys in the next video.